The handcuffs click around Amara Thompson's wrists in exactly 4 hours. Right now, she's eating breakfast. You still going to the mall after school? Her mother's voice carries the efficiency of a woman who built a career on precision. Janelle Thompson stands at the kitchen counter in her navy suit, natural hair styled into a professional crown, checking her phone between sips of coffee. Amara spreads jam on toast. Yeah. Need to find something for your birthday. Surprise me. Janelle smiles, the kind that reaches her eyes only at home, never in corporate meetings. Just be home by 6. I have a late meeting at Westfield's corporate office. Westfield. The mall where Amara plans to shop. The mall her mother manages as regional director. The mall where, in 4 hours, a security guard will decide Amara doesn't belong. But right now, it's just Tuesday morning in suburban Atlanta. Sunlight streams through kitchen windows. The coffee maker gurgles. NPR murmurs from the speaker. Normal. Before this day falls apart, drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. New York? Lagos? London? Manchester? This story about racial profiling in corporate power hits different depending on where you live. Amara finishes breakfast and heads upstairs. Her bedroom walls display acceptance letters from 3 universities, still waiting for her decision. Howard. Spelman. Duke. Her mother's pride materialized in embossed letterhead. Senior year at Eastwood Preparatory Academy means AP Chemistry at 8 a.m., English Literature at 10, Calculus at 1. Amara navigates predominantly wide hallways with practiced ease, smile when appropriate, speak when called on, excel always. Her mother's unspoken rules for survival in spaces not designed for them. You work twice as hard to get half the credit, Janelle told her once. That's not fair. That's just true. So Amara works. Studies. Achieves. Becomes the kind of black girl who makes white parents say, she's so articulate. The kind who gets invited to parties but never feels fully welcome. The kind who code switches so smoothly she sometimes forgets which voice is real. School drags. Her mind wanders to the mall, to her mother's 50th birthday next week. 50 years of fighting to be seen as competent, not threatening. 50 years of navigating white spaces with dignity and excellence. What gift captures that? At 3:15 p.m., dismissal bell rings. Amara drives her mother's old Honda Civic, nothing fancy, because Janelle believes in teaching the value of money despite her 6-figure income. 15 minutes to Westfield Shopping Center, the crown jewel of her mother's portfolio. The parking lot sprawls like a concrete ocean. Amara finds a spot in the north section, grabs her bag, checks her reflection in the rearview mirror. Curly hair pulled back. Blue cardigan over white tank top. Jeans. Comfortable shoes. She looks like any other teenager going shopping. She doesn't look like a threat. But in 6 years of mall security work, Derek Hayes has learned to see threats everywhere. Especially in faces that look like Amara's. The automatic doors whoosh open. Air conditioning hits her skin. The mall stretches before her, gleaming tiles, potted plants, instrumental music floating from hidden speakers. Upscale. Pristine. The kind of space her mother fought to integrate, first as customer, then as employee, finally as executive. Amara doesn't know that Derek Hayes is watching her enter. Doesn't know he's already reaching for his radio. Doesn't know that in his mind, she's already guilty of something. She just knows she needs to find the perfect gift. 3 floors above, Janelle Thompson sits in a corporate conference room, reviewing customer service standards with mall managers. Discussing community relations. emphasizing dignity and respect for all shoppers. The irony will be crushing. Amara walks deeper into the mall, browsing window displays. A boutique catches her eye, elegant scarves, jewelry that looks meaningful rather than flashy. She enters. Behind her, Derek Hayes follows. Derek Hayes has been watching Amara for 12 minutes when he decides she's suspicious. Not because she's stealing. She hasn't pocketed anything, hasn't looked around nervously, hasn't exhibited any actual criminal behavior. She's suspicious because she's young, black, and in his mall. He stands outside the boutique, arms crossed, radio clipped to his belt. 28 years old. 6 years in mall security. High school diploma and 2 months of private security training. He considers himself a protector. A guardian of order. Someone who knows trouble when he sees it. And right now, he sees trouble browsing jewelry displays. Amara feels his eyes before she sees him. That particular prickling awareness black people develop early, the sense of being watched, assessed, presumed guilty until proven otherwise. She glances up. He's staring. Not even trying to hide it. She looks away, focuses on a silver bracelet. Keeps her hands visible, her movements slow and deliberate. Plays the game her mother taught her, be so obviously innocent they can't justify their suspicion. But Derek doesn't need justification. He has a badge. Amara leaves the boutique empty-handed. The bracelet was beautiful but too expensive, and she wants to check other stores before committing. Normal shopping behavior. The kind white teenagers perform without second thought. For Amara, it's a calculated risk assessment. She walks toward the department store, passing a coffee kiosk and a shoe store. Checks her phone. 4:15 p.m. Her mother's meeting should be wrapping up soon. Maybe they can grab dinner after. Suspect moving toward corridor B. Derek's voice crackles into his radio. Young black female, curly hair, blue jacket. Continuing surveillance. Amara doesn't hear this. She's entering the department store, immediately embraced by the smell of perfume and new fabric. Racks of clothing stretch like a maze. She gravitates toward the accessories section, scarves, maybe. Something elegant her mother could wear to corporate events. A saleswoman approaches, white, middle-aged, professional smile. Can I help you find something? Just browsing, thank you. Amara's voice is polite, carefully enunciated. Code switching automatic. Let me know if you need anything. The saleswoman drifts away. Outside the store entrance, Derek stations himself. Watches. Waits. Another shopper enters, white teenager, blonde, about Amara's age. Shopping bag already in hand from another store. The saleswoman greets her warmly, asks about her day, offers assistance with genuine enthusiasm. Amara notices. Always notices. The differential treatment so subtle most white people never see it, so constant most black people stop mentioning it. She finds 2 items, a silk scarf in deep burgundy and a small bottle of her mother's favorite perfume. Carries them to the register. Pays with her debit card. Receives a receipt. Have a wonderful day, the cashier says, tone neutral, transaction complete. Amara tucks the receipt into her phone case. Her mother taught her this too, always keep receipts. Always have proof. Because in America, black people must constantly prove they belong. She exits the department store at 4:38 p.m., purchases in hand, receipts secured. Has done nothing wrong, nothing suspicious, nothing remotely criminal. Derek Hayes doesn't care. He sees a young black woman who's been in multiple stores, who browsed more than she bought, who fits the description of a shoplifter he's looking for. Never mind that there is no actual shoplifter. Never mind that his description is vague enough to fit hundreds of women. Never mind that he's never once verified if a theft actually occurred. He sees what he expects to see. Threat. Guilt. Justification for his badge. Amara walks toward the mall exit, ready to head home. Maybe she'll return tomorrow for the bracelet. Maybe she'll look online instead. Normal teenager thoughts about normal teenager problems. Derek intercepts her path. "Excuse me, miss." His voice stops her mid-stride. That particular tone, authoritative, suspicious, already convinced. Amara turns slowly, stomach dropping, knowing exactly what's about to happen. She's been black in America for 17 years. She knows this script. "Yes?" Her voice steady despite her racing heartbeat. Derek's hand rests on his belt, near his handcuffs. His eyes scan her shopping bag, her face, her body. Assessing. Judging. Already decided. "I need you to come with me," he says. "There's been a report of shoplifting, and you match the description of the suspect." Around them, shoppers begin to slow, to watch, to pull out phones. The performance begins. And 3 floors above, Janelle Thompson gathers her materials, checks her watch, prepares to leave her meeting about treating all customers with dignity and respect. In 2 minutes, she'll step onto the elevator. In 4 minutes, the doors will open onto the main corridor. In 4 minutes, Janelle Thompson will see her daughter being detained like a criminal. But Derek Hayes has no idea he's about to destroy his career. "I haven't stolen anything." Amara's voice carries more confidence than she feels. "You can check my bag. I have receipts for everything." Derek's smile is thin, practiced, the expression of someone who's heard every excuse. "I'll check everything at the security office. Let's go. I have rights. You need probable cause to detain me. You fit the description of a shoplifting suspect. That's probable cause." His hand moves toward her arm. Amara steps back. "What description?" "Young black female, curly hair, blue jacket." Derek says this without irony, without awareness of how generic, how damning, how racist it sounds. Amara's breath catches. That description fits thousands of women. Fits her, yes, but also her classmate Destiny, and the woman at the coffee kiosk, and the girl she passed near the entrance. It's not a description. It's a profile. "That could be anyone," she says. "I haven't done anything wrong. Let me call my mother. After we verify your story. Put your phone away, please." Derek's hand closes around her arm. Firm. Proprietary. The touch of someone who's never questioned his authority to grab teenage girls in public spaces. Amara tries to pull back. "You're hurting me. I need you to comply." His grip tightens. Around them, shoppers stop. Stare. Pull out phones. The modern ritual of viral moments, everyone recording, no one intervening. A white woman whispers to her companion. She must have done something. A black woman watches with knowing eyes, sympathy mixed with helplessness. She's lived this. Knows there's nothing she can do that won't make it worse. Derek walks Amara through the main corridor. Doesn't try to be discreet. Makes it a spectacle. His radio crackles with updates to other security officers. Bringing suspect to office. Young black female, possible shoplifting. Suspect. The word follows Amara like a brand. "This is unnecessary," she says, fighting to keep her voice steady. I'm 17 years old. I haven't stolen anything. I have receipts. Save it for the office. Derek's voice carries across the corridor, loud enough for witnesses, proud enough for validation. Amara's eyes burn. Not just from humiliation, though that's crushing. Not just from injustice, though that's rage-inducing. From the sheer weight of being made into a spectacle, a cautionary tale, a justification for everyone's worst assumptions about black teenagers in upscale spaces. She thinks about her mother. About Janelle Thompson, who taught her a code switch, to excel, to work twice as hard. About the woman who climbed from rural Alabama poverty to corporate executive, who believed excellence could protect her daughter from racism. That protection is failing. I need to handcuff you, Derek says, pulling metal restraints from his belt. Standard procedure for suspected shoplifters. You're handcuffing me? Amara's voice cracks. In the middle of the mall? Prevents you from running. I'm not running. I haven't done anything. Click. The first handcuff closes around her left wrist. Cold metal. Tight enough to be real, loose enough to avoid marks. Calculated humiliation. Click. Her right wrist. Arms pulled behind her back. Body positioned for shame. Phones rise higher. A teenage boy films vertically, muttering "World Star" under his breath. A older woman records with shaking hands, face conflicted. A group of white teenagers watch like it's entertainment. Before we continue, you need to subscribe right now. What happens when this mother sees her daughter in handcuffs is the most powerful moment of parental fury you'll ever witness. This isn't just about mistaken identity. It's about racial profiling, abuse of power, and what happens when you mess with the wrong family. Don't let this story disappear. Hit subscribe. The next 60 seconds will satisfy your soul. Amara stands handcuffed in Corridor B, shopping bag still dangling from her fingers, receipts in her phone case, proof of innocence meaningless against the assumption of guilt. Tears threaten, but she refuses them. Won't give the satisfaction. Won't become the stereotype of the emotional black girl who can't control herself. She thinks of her mother's lessons: dignity, composure, elevation above hate. But God, it's hard when you're 17 and handcuffed and surrounded by strangers who've already decided you're guilty. Derek radios ahead. Bringing suspect now. Need backup for processing. Processing. Like she's already convicted. 3 floors above, Janelle Thompson's meeting ends. The conference room empties, mall managers discussing the session, planning implementation of new customer service standards. Ironic, given what's happening downstairs. Excellent meeting, Janelle, says Richard, the mall manager. Really appreciate your emphasis on treating every customer with respect. It's not just policy, Janelle replies, gathering her folders. It's basic human dignity. Everyone who enters our malls deserves to feel welcome and safe. She checks her watch. 4:42 p.m. Amara should be finishing her shopping soon. Maybe they'll grab dinner before heading home, Thai food, Amara's favorite. Janelle walks toward the elevator, heels clicking on polished floors. She's thinking about quarterly reports, about budget meetings next week, about her daughter's upcoming birthday surprise. She's not thinking about security protocols. She's not thinking about racial profiling. She's not thinking about how, in 90 seconds, her entire worldview will shatter. The elevator arrives. Janelle steps inside, presses the button for the main level. The doors close. Soft music plays, something instrumental and forgettable. Descending. 3rd floor. 2nd floor. Main level. Ding. Doors opening. Janelle steps out, phone in hand, checking messages from her assistant. Looks up absently, glancing around the familiar main corridor. And freezes. 20 feet away, in the middle of the corridor surrounded by phones and witnesses, her daughter. In handcuffs. A white security guard gripping her arm. Shopping bag dangling. Tears threatening to fall. Amara. Her baby. In handcuffs. In Janelle's mall. Recognition hits like lightning, like earthquake, like every mother's nightmare compressed into one impossible image. The professional mask Janelle wears for corporate America, the careful neutrality, the measured responses, the dignified composure, shatters completely. Amara. Her voice carries across the corridor, sharp and powerful and filled with a mother's terror. Every head turns. Derek looks up, confused. Amara's head snaps toward the sound. Mom? The word breaks on a sob. Janelle moves. Not walking. Not jogging. Almost running in heels and business suit, folders forgotten, professional demeanor abandoned. Just a mother racing toward her child. Derek sees a black woman approaching. Professional clothes, yes, but he's in the middle of an arrest. He straightens, prepares to assert authority, to tell her this is none of her business. What is happening here? Janelle's voice could cut steel. What are you doing to my daughter? Ma'am, this is security business. That is my daughter. The words land like bombs. Derek's expression shifts, confusion, beginning of concern, not yet full understanding. Your daughter matched the description of. Take those handcuffs off her. Right now. Ma'am, I need to verify. Janelle's hand moves to her suit pocket, pulls out her corporate ID badge. Holds it where Derek can see. Where the growing crowd can see. Where every phone camera can capture. I am Janelle Thompson, Regional Director of Westfield Properties. I oversee 15 malls across 3 states, including this one. You have 30 seconds to remove those handcuffs before I call corporate security, your supervisor, and every executive above you all the way to the CEO. Silence. Derek's face drains of color. His hand, reaching for his radio, freezes mid-motion. His eyes focus on the badge, official, irrefutable, his career ending in laminated plastic. Regional Director. His boss's boss's boss. The woman he just called ma'am dismissively while handcuffing her teenage daughter in front of 50 witnesses with phones out. Oh God. Amara stares at her mother, tears finally falling free now that rescue has arrived. The handcuffs still bite into her wrists. The humiliation still burns. But her mother is here. Her mother, who has power. Her mother, who will fix this. Derek fumbles for his handcuff keys, hands shaking. And Janelle Thompson's fury is just beginning. Derek's hands shake so badly he drops the keys. Metal clatters on tile. The sound echoes through the corridor like judgment. He bends to retrieve them, aware of every phone camera, every witness, every second of his career collapsing in real time. Miss Thompson, I didn't know, his voice cracks. You didn't know she was my daughter? Janelle's tone could freeze fire. Or you didn't know you shouldn't racially profile teenage girls? Derek fumbles with the handcuffs, fingers clumsy with panic. The key slots into the mechanism. Click. Amara's left wrist freed. Click. Her right wrist. The moment the metal releases, Amara stumbles toward her mother. Janelle catches her, pulls her close, arms wrapping protective and fierce. One hand cups the back of Amara's head. The other rubs her back in small circles, the same gesture she's used since Amara was a baby having nightmares. Did he hurt you? Janelle's voice softens for her daughter, hardens for everyone else. Baby, are you okay? Amara nods against her mother's shoulder, crying now that it's safe to cry. I didn't do anything. I have receipts. He said I matched a description. I know, baby. I know. Janelle holds her tighter, feeling her daughter's heartbeat racing, feeling rage build like pressure in a sealed container. She looks up at Derek. The security guard stands frozen, handcuffs dangling from one hand, keys in the other. His face pale. His career over, though he doesn't fully realize it yet. Explain. Janelle's voice drops to boardroom ice, the tone that makes executives nervous, the tone that precedes terminations. Right now. Why was my daughter in handcuffs? There was a report of shoplifting. She matched the description. What description? Derek swallows. Realizes how bad this sounds. Says it anyway because there's no other answer. Young black female, curly hair, blue jacket. Silence falls like a guillotine. Someone in the crowd gasps. Someone else mutters, "Oh shit." Phones record every word, every expression, every second of Derek's professional execution. That's the description. Janelle's voice rises, controlled fury becoming something sharper. That's your probable cause? Half the women in this mall could match that description. My daughter could be anyone. She is anyone, a 17-year-old honor student shopping for her mother's birthday. Derek opens his mouth. Closes it. Nothing he says will make this better. Janelle turns to Amara, voice gentle again. Do you have stolen merchandise? No, Mom. I bought a scarf and perfume. I have receipts. Amara pulls her phone from her pocket, opens the digital receipts, holds them where everyone can see. Proof of innocence. Documented. Timestamped. Irrefutable. Janelle looks at Derek. Did you check her purchases before handcuffing her? I was going to at the security office. So you handcuffed my daughter in public, in front of dozens of witnesses, before verifying she'd stolen anything? Derek's silence is damning. Based solely on a description that could fit hundreds of women. More silence. Because she's black, and you assumed guilt. Miss Thompson, I was just doing my job. Your job is security. Not racial profiling. Not humiliating innocent teenagers. Not creating viral videos that damage this company's reputation. Janelle pulls out her phone, dials. Richard, this is Janelle Thompson. I'm in the main corridor. I need you here. Now. She ends the call. Looks at the crowd. At least 30 people watching, recording, bearing witness. Some look sympathetic. Some look guilty for assuming Amara was a thief. Some look uncomfortable, aware they're watching a public reckoning. A black teenage girl holds up her phone, filming. I got everything, she says to Janelle. From when he grabbed her until now. Send me that footage, please. Janelle's voice softens. What's your name? Maya. Maya Johnson. Thank you, Maya. You're documenting justice. Richard, the mall manager, arrives at a near run. He sees the scene, Janelle holding Amara, Derek standing with handcuffs, the crowd, the phones, and his face goes from confusion to horror in seconds. Miss Thompson, what happened? Derek just detained my 17-year-old daughter without probable cause. Handcuffed her in public based on a description so vague it's textbook racial profiling. Richard looks at Derek. At Amara. At the phones. at his career also beginning to implode. Miss Thompson, I am so sorry. Where's the shoplifting suspect he was looking for? Janelle cuts through the apology. Derek's voice is barely audible. There wasn't. I mean, I didn't have a specific report. She was acting suspicious. What suspicious behavior? She was browsing. Going into multiple stores. Not buying much. That's called shopping, Derek. Someone in the crowd laughs, bitter, knowing. Several black women nod, faces full of recognition. They've lived this. They know. She made me uncomfortable, Derek says, and realizes too late how that sounds. She made you uncomfortable? Janelle's voice rises. My daughter, who weighs maybe 130 pounds, who was shopping for her mother's birthday, made you, a grown man with a badge and handcuffs, uncomfortable. Derek's mouth opens. Nothing comes out. Or was it her skin color that made you uncomfortable? Her curly hair? Her presence in a space you decided she didn't belong in? I wasn't. Save it. Janelle turns to Richard. Derek is suspended immediately. Pending full investigation. I want security footage from every camera that captured him following my daughter. I want his personnel file on my desk by end of business tomorrow. And I want every security officer in this mall retrained on probable cause, racial profiling, and basic human decency. Yes, Miss Thompson. Right away. 2 other security officers arrive, called by Derek's earlier radio transmission. They see the scene, see their colleague's face, and understand immediately what's happened. Take his badge, radio, and keys, Janelle says. He's suspended effective now. Derek looks at her. At Amara. At his career being dismantled in real time. Miss Thompson, please. I made a mistake. You made a choice. Multiple choices. To follow a black teenager. To assume guilt. To ignore evidence. To handcuff a child in public. Those aren't mistakes, Derek. That's who you are. His badge comes off. His radio. His keys. The tools of authority stripped away while phones record every second. Please, Derek says again, voice breaking. I have a family. So does my daughter, Janelle snaps. And you traumatized her for shopping while black. Richard escorts Derek toward the security office. The crowd begins to disperse, but slowly, reluctantly. This is the kind of moment that gets shared, discussed, debated. One video is already uploading. Caption: Mall cop racially profiles teen, her mother is his boss. Within an hour, it will have 100,000 views. Within a day, Derek Hayes will be a national news story. But right now, Janelle just holds her daughter and whispers, I'm so sorry, baby. This should never have happened to you. Never. Amara cries against her mother's shoulder. Relief. Humiliation. Vindication. All at once. And 3 floors up, in the corporate office Janelle just left, a phone begins ringing. The CEO wants to know why a regional director's daughter was just handcuffed in one of their premier malls. The reckoning has only begun. Janelle doesn't take Amara home. Not yet. She walks her daughter to the corporate office on the 3rd floor, settles her in a private conference room with water and tissues, then returns to the main corridor. The crowd has dispersed but the energy remains, phones still out, people lingering near stores, discussing what they witnessed. Janelle approaches a group of black women who watched the entire scene. Did any of you film what happened? She asks. All 4 hold up phones. Would you send me that footage? I'm building a case. Janelle pulls out business cards, writes her personal email on the back of each. And if you've ever experienced similar treatment at this mall or any other, please contact me. This stops today. One woman, maybe 40, takes the card with shaking hands. He followed my son last month. Watched him for 20 minutes. My boy is 15. He was buying a birthday gift for his sister. Send me details. Names, dates, everything you remember. Another woman nods. My daughter refuses to shop here anymore. Says security makes her feel like a criminal. Janelle's jaw tightens. Not anymore. I promise you, not anymore. She returns to the corporate office where Richard waits, visibly sweating. Derek sits in a chair outside the security director's office, badge and radio gone, looking small without his uniform's authority. Conference room. Now, Janelle says to both men. The room is sterile, corporate, glass walls, long table, leather chairs designed for comfort and intimidation simultaneously. Janelle stands at the head of the table. Derek and Richard sit like students called to the principal's office. Walk me through your security training, Janelle says to Derek. Specifically, what you learned about probable cause. Derek's voice is hollow. Probable cause is reasonable grounds to believe someone committed a crime. And what reasonable grounds did you have? She fit the description. What description? Who reported it? When? What specific merchandise was stolen? What security footage verified the theft? Silence. There was no theft, Janelle continues, voice surgical. No report. No stolen merchandise. No actual suspect. Just your assumption that a black teenage girl browsing in upscale stores must be criminal. I had a feeling. Your feelings aren't probable cause. Your instincts aren't policy. Your comfort level isn't law. Janelle turns to Richard. How long has Derek worked here? 6 years. And in those 6 years, how many actual shoplifters has he apprehended? Richard checks his tablet, scrolling through records. His face pales. 0 successful apprehensions. Multiple detentions that resulted in no charges filed. Multiple detentions of whom? Richard doesn't want to answer. Does anyway. Predominantly black and Latino shoppers. Janelle lets that hang in the air. Lets Derek sit with it. Lets Richard squirm. So Derek has a 6-year pattern of racially profiling customers, 0 successful theft prosecutions, and multiple complaints that were presumably dismissed or ignored. Did I summarize that correctly? Ms. Thompson, Richard starts. Did I summarize correctly? Yes. Janelle turns back to Derek. Do you understand what you've done? Not just to my daughter. To every black person who's ever entered this mall feeling watched, judged, presumed guilty. You've made this space hostile. You've made commerce traumatic. You've weaponized your badge against people who were just trying to shop. Derek's voice breaks. I didn't mean. You didn't mean to be racist? You didn't mean to profile? You didn't mean to handcuff an innocent teenager in public? Janelle leans forward. Or you didn't mean to get caught? Please, Ms. Thompson. I have a wife. A mortgage. I can't lose this job. My daughter has trauma she'll carry forever. She has a viral video that will follow her. She has the memory of being handcuffed in public while strangers assumed she was a thief. Tell me, Derek, do you think she meant to experience that? Derek has no answer. You're terminated. Effective immediately. Security will escort you to collect your belongings. You're banned from all Westfield properties indefinitely. And if my daughter chooses to file a civil suit, which she has every right to do, you'll hear from our attorneys. You can't, this isn't fair. Fair? Janelle's voice rises for the first time, professional composure cracking. You handcuffed my child. My 17-year-old daughter who was shopping for my birthday. You made her cry. You made her feel like a criminal. You violated her dignity in front of strangers for the crime of existing while black. And you want to talk to me about fair? Derek shrinks in his chair. Get out. Security will contact you about final paperwork. If you come near my daughter, if you attempt to contact her, if you so much as mention her name in public, I will make it my personal mission to ensure you never work security anywhere in this country again. Do you understand? Yes. Barely a whisper. Get out. Derek stands, legs unsteady. Walks toward the door. Pauses. Turns back. I'm sorry. Tell that to every black person you've profiled. Tell that to your wife when she asks why you're unemployed. Tell that to yourself when you realize your racism cost you everything. But don't tell it to me. I don't care about your remorse. I care about making sure this never happens again. Derek leaves. The door clicks shut with finality. Richard remains, looking like he might vomit. Miss Thompson, what can I do? Pull Derek's complete file. Every shift report, every incident, every complaint, formal or informal. I want security footage from the past year showing his interactions with customers. I want exit interview data from employees who've left, specifically any mentions of security concerns. And I want a comprehensive audit of security practices at this mall. I'll have it on your desk by morning. Tonight. I want it tonight. Janelle's voice is steel. Because if Derek has been profiling customers for 6 years and management did nothing, this isn't just his failure. It's systemic. And I'm about to dismantle every piece of that system. Richard nods, already pulling out his phone to make calls. Janelle returns to the conference room where Amara sits, staring at nothing. Her daughter looks smaller than usual, shoulders curved inward, the confident senior reduced to traumatized child. Baby? Janelle sits beside her. Amara looks up, eyes red. Is it over? His job is over. His career is over. His ability to harm anyone else is over. Janelle takes her daughter's hands. But I need to know, are you over? How badly did he hurt you? He didn't hit me or anything. Just grabbed my arm hard. The handcuffs were tight. But mostly. Amara's voice breaks. Mostly it was everyone watching. Everyone assuming I was guilty. Everyone recording like I was entertainment. I know. I'm so sorry. You always told me that if I was excellent, if I worked hard, if I was perfect, they'd have to respect me. But I was perfect, Mom. I had receipts. I was polite. I didn't do anything wrong. And he still handcuffed me. The truth cuts deep. Janelle has spent 17 years teaching her daughter that excellence is armor. That code switching is shield. That being twice as good means being safe. But safety is a lie when racism doesn't care about your achievements. You're right, Janelle says quietly. I told you wrong. Excellence doesn't protect us. It just makes the injustice more visible when it happens anyway. So what do we do? Janelle looks at her daughter, brilliant, brave, traumatized, and still fighting. We make sure no one else's daughter has to learn this lesson. We change the system. How? Watch me. Janelle's phone buzzes. A text from Maya, the teenager who filmed everything. Video already has 50K views. People are pissed. Good, Janelle thinks. Let them be pissed. Let the rage build. Let Derek Hayes become a cautionary tale about what happens when you profile the wrong person's daughter. But more than that, let this moment become the catalyst for change. Not just for Amara. For every black teenager who's ever been followed in a store, watched like a criminal, made to feel unwelcome in public spaces. Derek Hayes thought he was doing his job. He was about to learn that his job just destroyed his life. And Janelle Thompson was about to teach an entire industry what happens when you mistake her daughter for a threat. Janelle doesn't sleep that night. She sits at her home office desk, laptop open, files spread across mahogany wood. Derek Hayes' personnel record stares back at her, 6 years of employment reduced to digital documentation. Surface level, it looks clean. Performance reviews marked satisfactory. No formal complaints filed. Commendations for vigilance and proactive security measures. The kind of record that makes termination complicated. But Janelle didn't become regional director by accepting surface narratives. She calls HR at 6:47 a.m. This is Janelle Thompson. I need a comprehensive audit of security incidents at Westfield, Atlanta. Every detention, every complaint, formal and informal, for the past 3 years. Focus on patterns by race and age of individuals detained. That's a lot of data, Ms. Thompson. I want it by noon today. This is priority 1. Yes, ma'am. By 9 a.m., Janelle sits in her corporate office, 3 monitors displaying security footage from the past year. She watches Derek's shifts chronologically, noting every interaction, every decision, every presumption of guilt. The pattern emerges like a photograph developing in solution, undeniable, damning, systemic. Frame 1, Derek follows a young black man through electronics store for 14 minutes. The man buys headphones and leaves. Derek files incident report, suspicious behavior, no theft occurred. Frame 2, Derek approaches 2 Latina teenagers browsing makeup. Demands to check their bags. Both have receipts. No apology issued. Frame 3, Derek stops a black woman with her children. Insists on verifying her purchases despite visible shopping bags and receipts. Woman files informal complaint with store manager. Complaint never escalated. Frame 4 through 47, the same story, different faces. Black and brown shoppers watched, followed, detained, questioned. White shoppers ignored even when exhibiting identical behavior. Janelle creates a spreadsheet. Derek conducted 73 detentions over 3 years. Demographics break down as follows. Black shoppers, 54, 74%. Latino shoppers, 13, 18%. White shoppers, 6, 8%. Of those 73 detentions, actual thefts prosecuted, 0 merchandise recovered, 0 formal apologies issued, 3 complaints filed, 18 complaints that resulted in discipline, 0. 0 successful apprehensions. 0 actual criminals caught. Just dozens of innocent people traumatized for shopping while non-white. Janelle's phone rings. HR director's name on screen. Ms. Thompson, you need to see this data. Send it. Her email pings. Attachment opens. The numbers are worse than she imagined. Derek isn't an anomaly. He's representative. Security at Westfield, Atlanta has detained 214 shoppers in 3 years. 71% were people of color. 3% resulted in actual theft charges. The rest were released with apologies that rarely felt sincere. Store managers knew. Employees complained. Shoppers stopped coming. And mall management did nothing because security concerns outweighed customer complaints. Translation: racism was policy, just unwritten. Janelle schedules emergency meetings. First, mall manager Richard. Then, director of security for all Westfield properties. Then, CEO. Richard arrives at 11:30 a.m., carrying 3 folders thick with documentation. His face has aged years overnight. "I pulled everything you requested." He spreads papers across Janelle's desk. "It's worse than I thought." Janelle reads through incident reports, complaint forms, emails from concerned employees. A pattern of knowledge and inaction. Complaints dismissed as misunderstandings. Black employees raising concerns about racial profiling, told they were being too sensitive. One email from a store manager dated 8 months ago: "Derek Hayes has made several of our regular customers uncomfortable. 3 black families have mentioned being followed during their shopping trips. I recommend additional training or reassignment." Response from previous mall manager: "Derek is doing his job. Shoplifting is a serious concern. No action needed." Who wrote this response? Janelle asks. Richard's voice is quiet. "That was me." Silence fills the office. "You knew Derek was racially profiling customers and you did nothing?" "I didn't think, I thought he was just being cautious." "You thought wrong." Janelle's tone allows no excuses. "You enabled this. 4 months. While black families stopped shopping here because they felt unwelcome. Miss Thompson, I'm sorry. You're demoted. Effective immediately. Assistant mall manager position. 30% pay reduction. You'll report to whoever I hire to replace you. And you'll undergo comprehensive bias training before interacting with customers again." Richard nods, accepting consequences. "And Richard? If I find one more example of you dismissing racial profiling complaints, you're terminated." "Understood?" "Yes, Miss Thompson." He leaves. Janelle continues digging. Security director arrives at 2 p.m. James Murphy, white male, 58, 30 years in retail security. He walks in confident, assuming this is routine damage control. He's wrong. "Tell me about Derek Hayes," Janelle says. "Unfortunate situation. Overzealous officer. We've terminated him and moved on." "Don't." Janelle's voice cuts like glass. "Don't minimize this. Don't frame it as one bad employee. Derek Hayes profiled customers for 6 years, and your department did nothing. That's not one bad officer. That's institutional failure." James shifts uncomfortably. "Miss Thompson, security is complicated. Security is simple. Protect people. All people. Not just white people who make you comfortable." She slides the statistical breakdown across her desk. "Explain these numbers to me." James reads. His confident expression crumbles. "I didn't realize." "You didn't realize your security officers were detaining black shoppers at 4 times the rate of white shoppers? You didn't realize not one of those detentions resulted in prosecution? You didn't realize you were running a racial profiling operation masquerading as security? We train our officers to do exactly this. To see black skin as suspicious. To follow teenagers like my daughter. To handcuff children in public based on instinct instead of evidence." Janelle stands, walks to her window overlooking the parking lot. Shoppers come and go, oblivious to the revolution happening 3 floors above. I'm restructuring security across all 15 Westfield properties, she says. New training focused on bias recognition and de-escalation. Body cameras mandatory for all security personnel. Third-party audits quarterly. Anonymous reporting system for profiling complaints. Zero-tolerance policy for racial discrimination. That's a massive overhaul. Yes. Because we have a massive problem. Janelle turns back to face him. And James? If you can't lead that transformation, I'll find someone who can. Are we clear? Crystal clear, Ms. Thompson. Good. Start with Atlanta. I want new protocols operational within 2 weeks. Then we roll out to all properties. This is priority 1. James nods, leaves quickly. Janelle sits back at her desk, exhausted but energized. Her phone buzzes. Text from Amara, the video hit 2 million views. People are calling for boycotts. 2 million views. 2 million witnesses to her daughter's humiliation. 2 million people demanding accountability. Janelle types back, good. Let them demand. Change is coming. But privately, she wonders, is this enough? Will policy changes erase the trauma Amara experienced? Will new training prevent the next Derek Hayes? Or is the problem deeper than protocols can fix, embedded in assumptions, in comfort levels, in who gets presumed innocent and who gets handcuffed first, asked questions later? She thinks about Amara's words, I was perfect, Mom. And he still handcuffed me. Excellence didn't protect her daughter. Position didn't either, not until Janelle appeared. What about black teenagers whose mothers aren't corporate executives? Who protects them? The question haunts Janelle as she prepares for her meeting with the CEO. Derek Hayes is fired. Richard is demoted. Policies are changing. But individual consequences don't dismantle systems. That requires something bigger. Something structural. Something that makes Derek Hayes' racism not just a firing offense, but a cultural impossibility. Janelle picks up her phone again. Calls the ACLU. Calls the NAACP. Calls every civil rights organization that's contacted her since the video went viral. Let's talk about retail racial profiling, she says. And let's talk about how we end it nationwide. Derek Hayes thought he was doing his job. He was actually lighting the fuse on a movement. The video reaches 5 million views in 48 hours. Not one video, dozens. Every angle, every perspective, every witness's phone capturing the same moment from different vantage points. Tech-savvy users combine them into a comprehensive narrative, Derek following Amara through stores, the handcuffing, the crowd's reaction, Janelle's arrival, the confrontation, Derek's humiliation. The full story, undeniable and complete. Comment sections explode. This is every black parent's nightmare. Notice how he didn't ask for ID or check receipts before handcuffing her? That description was literally just young black female. That's not security. That's racism with a badge. The way her mother's voice broke when she saw her daughter. I felt that. Props to the regional director for not just using her power to protect her kid but promising to change the system. But also, if she hadn't been a director's daughter, he would have gotten away with it. That comment sticks with Janelle. Haunts her through interviews, through policy meetings, through every moment she's not actively working to fix what's broken. CNN calls. NBC calls. Local Atlanta stations camp outside Westfield corporate offices. Everyone wants the story, wrong teenager, powerful mother, racist security guard terminated. Janelle agrees to one interview. National morning show. but only if Amara sits beside her. Are you sure? She asks her daughter the night before. You don't have to do this. We can handle it privately. Amara sits on her bed, laptop open to #shoppingwhileblack trending on Twitter. Thousands of stories just like hers. Teenagers followed, adults detained, families humiliated. I have to, Amara says. Because I had you. Most of these people didn't have anyone with power to protect them. If I stay silent, Derek Hayes is just one bad guy who got fired. But if I speak, maybe we change something bigger. The interview airs on a Wednesday morning. Janelle in another Navy suit, professional armor back in place. Amara in a simple dress, hands folded, posture perfect, her mother's daughter, trained for composure. The host asks Janelle about corporate response. About policy changes. About accountability. Then she turns to Amara. What was going through your mind when he handcuffed you? Amara's voice is steady, practiced, but emotion bleeds through. I was thinking about all the times my mother told me that excellence would protect me. That if I worked hard, if I was polite, if I followed rules, I'd be safe. I had receipts for my purchases. I was shopping for her birthday gift. I did everything right. And I still ended up in handcuffs because Derek Hayes looked at my skin and decided I was guilty. What do you want people to understand? That this happens every day. I'm not special because my mother is a regional director. I'm lucky she was there. But we need to change the system so black teenagers don't need powerful parents to be treated with basic dignity. The clip goes viral within an hour. Amara's eloquence, her composure, her refusal to let humiliation silence her, it resonates. Teen Vogue requests an interview. Essence magazine. Bet. Amara becomes the face of a movement she never asked to lead. And then the others come forward. A 19-year-old college student named Marcus, Derek Hayes followed me for 30 minutes at Westfield. Accused me of stealing a jacket I'd owned for 2 years. Made me show receipts for clothes I was wearing. A mother named Patricia, he detained my son, who's 14, for acting suspicious in the food court. My baby was eating French fries. A grandmother named Dorothy, I've shopped at that mall for 20 years. But after Derek Hayes questioned me about my purchase 3 times in one visit, I stopped going. Made me feel like a criminal in my own community. 18 formal complaints filed with Westfield Corporate. 7 more with state consumer protection agencies. 3 lawsuits initiated. Derek's lawyer releases a statement. Mr. Hayes was following standard security protocols and deeply regrets any misunderstanding. He has been unfairly portrayed and looks forward to clearing his name. The internet eviscerates him. Security footage leaks, not from Westfield officially, but from employees tired of protecting a broken system. Videos of Derek following black shoppers, ignoring white shoppers exhibiting identical behavior, making assumptions based purely on appearance. The evidence is overwhelming. Derek attempts a media appearance, local radio show, friendly host, opportunity to share his side. It backfires spectacularly. I was trained to look for suspicious behavior, Derek says. And she was displaying patterns consistent with shoplifting. What patterns? The host asks. Shopping? Browsing? Existing? She went into multiple stores without buying anything. That's what shopping is, Derek. I had to trust my instinct. Your instinct or your bias. The interview ends with Derek walking out, more evidence of his inability to acknowledge what he did wrong. Employment consequences hit fast. Derek applies to 3 security companies. All reject him within hours, his name now synonymous with racial profiling. Tries retail management. No callbacks. Considers warehouse work, service industry, anything that pays. His wife, Sarah, watches their bank account dwindle. Watches her husband become a pariah. Watches their social circle evaporate as friends distance themselves from the controversy. You need to apologize, she tells him. Publicly. Sincerely. For doing my job? For ruining our lives. 2 weeks after the incident, Sarah files for separation. Not divorce yet, but space, physical and emotional. She moves in with her sister, takes their daughter, leaves Derek alone with his assumptions and his anger. He sits in his apartment, scrolling through comments about himself. Thousands of strangers calling him racist, demanding he never work security again, celebrating his termination. I was just doing my job, he mutters to no one. But even Derek, in his most honest moments, knows that's not entirely true. He followed Amara because she was black. Detained her because she was black. Handcuffed her because she was black and he could. The badge gave him power. Racism told him how to use it. Janelle receives updates about Derek's downfall, the rejection letters, the separation, the social exile. Some might feel sympathy. Some might say he suffered enough. Janelle feels nothing but satisfaction. And then returns to the work of making sure Derek Hayes is the last security guard who can destroy a teenager's dignity with impunity. Westfield settles all 3 lawsuits. Undisclosed amounts, but substantial. Amara's case never goes to trial. Janelle doesn't want to traumatize her daughter further. But the settlement includes admission of policy failures and commitment to reform. The viral moment starts shifting from outrage to action. Organizations reach out, retail advocacy groups, civil rights coalitions, legislative offices. Everyone wants to know, how do we prevent the next Derek Hayes? Janelle has answers. Body cameras. Bias training. Third-party oversight. Anonymous reporting. But also deeper changes, hiring practices that prioritize community connection over authoritarian control. Performance reviews that measure de-escalation, not detentions. We're not just changing Westfield, she tells a meeting of retail executives from competing companies. We're changing an industry. Because the next viral video could feature your employee, your customer, your company's reputation destroyed. This is self-interest dressed as justice, and I'll take allies wherever I can find them. 3 major retail chains commit to policy reviews. 2 sign on to pilot Westfield's new training program. It's not enough, not yet, but it's momentum. And momentum, Janelle knows, becomes movement. Amara watches from the audience, proud of her mother but also grieving. Because she understands something adults sometimes forget, individual justice doesn't erase collective trauma. Derek Hayes will never handcuff another teenager. But other Derek Hayes exist, in malls, in stores, in public spaces where black people shop with perpetual awareness that their skin might be read as threat. One viral video can end one career. But ending systemic racism requires dismantling assumptions embedded in training manuals, performance metrics, and the casual comfort of presuming guilt based on melanin. Amara receives a letter. Handwritten. Postmarked from California. A 15-year-old girl named Destiny writes. I saw your video. I've been too scared to go to the mall since security followed me last year. Made me feel like I was doing something wrong just by existing. Your story gave me courage to report what happened. My parents filed a complaint. That security guard got fired too. Thank you for speaking up. Thank you for not staying silent. You saved me from feeling alone. Amara shows the letter to her mother. They both cry. This is why, Janelle whispers. This is why we keep fighting. Derek Hayes destroyed one afternoon of Amara's life. But Amara and Janelle are about to spend years making sure that destruction births something better, a world where black teenagers can shop without fear, browse without surveillance, exist without having to prove innocence. The viral moment is ending. The movement is just beginning. 6 months after Derek Hayes handcuffed Amara Thompson in Corridor B, Westfield Shopping Center hosts its equity and retail launch event. The main corridor, same location, different energy, fills with community leaders, activists, retail executives, and families. A stage stands where Amara once stood humiliated. Now it holds a podium, microphones, and a future built from past trauma. Janelle speaks first, introducing the comprehensive changes implemented across all 15 Westfield properties. Body cameras mandatory for all security personnel. Footage reviewed monthly by third-party auditors specifically trained to identify racial profiling patterns. Anonymous reporting system accessible via QR codes posted throughout malls. Complaints investigated within 48 hours. Results public. Community advisory boards at each location. Diverse membership with real authority to recommend policy changes and personnel decisions. Bias training redesigned from scratch. Not diversity checkboxes, but meaningful examination of implicit assumptions and their consequences. Zero tolerance policy. First confirmed instance of racial profiling results in immediate termination. No second chances. No misunderstandings. Performance metrics reformed. Security officers no longer evaluated on detention numbers but on de-escalation success, community feedback, and incident prevention. The statistics after 6 months tell the story. Profiling complaints down 87%, customer satisfaction scores up 34%, diverse hiring increased security staff representation to match community demographics, 3 security officers terminated for bias violations, 0 viral videos of racial profiling. This isn't about one bad officer, Janelle tells the audience. Derek Hayes was symptom, not disease. The disease was a system that rewarded suspicion over service, that trained security to see threats instead of customers, that protected employees over dignity. We didn't just fire one man. We dismantled that system. Applause fills the corridor. But Janelle isn't finished. My daughter is going to speak now. And I want you to understand, she didn't ask for this platform. She earned it the hard way. By surviving what no teenager should experience. By choosing courage over silence. Amara walks to the podium. 6 months of healing, therapy, advocacy work, and senior year stress have changed her. Not broken, strengthened. Scarred but standing. Shopping shouldn't require courage, she begins. But for black teenagers, it does. Every time we enter a store, we calculate risk. Do we keep our hands visible? Do we leave our backpack at home? Do we buy something small to prove we're customers, not criminals? Do we dress more professionally to seem less threatening? She pauses, letting the weight of that reality settle. Derek Hayes handcuffed me for shopping. But he's not unique. He's just the one who got caught. The one whose victim had a powerful mother. The one whose racism got filmed from 12 angles and went viral. I'm lucky. I had my mother. I had resources. I had a platform. But what about the black teenagers who don't? The ones whose humiliation doesn't trend. The ones who just stop shopping, stop trying, stop believing they belong in public spaces? Her voice strengthens. That's who these policy changes are for. Not just me. Everyone. Because dignity shouldn't require corporate connections. Safety shouldn't require going viral. Respect shouldn't require anything except being human. Standing ovation. Amara sees her mother crying, pride mixed with grief for what her daughter lost and who she became in the losing. National Retail Federation officials attend, taking notes. This event isn't just Westfield celebrating itself. It's an industry watching to see if change is possible, profitable, sustainable. Other retail companies reach out within weeks. Department stores, grocery chains, outlet malls, everyone wants to implement Westfield's model. Some genuinely committed to justice. Others terrified of becoming the next viral story. Janelle doesn't care about motivation. Only results. She's promoted to Vice President of Operations, expanding her oversight to influence retail practices beyond Westfield properties. Uses her platform to push for industry-wide standards. Testifies before state legislatures considering retail bias legislation. The woman who climbed from rural Alabama poverty to corporate power is now using that power to protect people who look like her daughter. It's the achievement she's most proud of, not the title, not the salary, but the impact. Amara balances senior year chaos with advocacy work. Straight A's, college acceptance is rolling in, social media account, @ShoppingWhileBlack, now at 200,000 followers. She collects stories, amplifies voices, connects victims with resources. A 16-year-old in Ohio, security followed me. I reported it using the QR code system you talked about. He was fired. A mother in Texas, my daughter showed me your video. We filed a complaint we'd been too scared to submit. They listened. A college student in Florida, I stopped shopping in person because I couldn't handle the surveillance. Your work gave me courage to try again. Each message is validation. Each story is purpose. Each person helped as Derek Hayes' racism transformed into something redemptive. High school graduation arrives. Amara delivers the valedictorian speech in cap and gown, standing before her predominantly white prep school with truth they need to hear. This year I was racially profiled and handcuffed in a mall, she says, watching discomfort ripple through the audience. Some of you saw the video. Some looked away. Some told me I should have just complied, stayed quiet, let the system work. But the system wasn't working. The system was working exactly as designed, to protect comfort over justice, to presume guilt based on skin color, to make black people prove our innocence repeatedly in spaces we have every right to occupy. I'm going to Howard University in the fall. Pre-law. Because I've decided my purpose is dismantling systems that harm people who look like me. Who shop like me. Who exist like me. You've taught me math, literature, chemistry. Life taught me criminal justice, systemic racism, and the power of refusing to be silent. I'm grateful for both educations. And I'm taking them both to change this country. The applause is awkward, some enthusiastic, some obligatory. Amara doesn't care. She's not performing for approval anymore. That night, mother and daughter sit on their back porch, reflecting on a year that broke them and remade them simultaneously. I'm sorry, Janelle says quietly. I told you excellence would protect you. That was a lie. You told me what you believed. What you needed to believe to survive. Amara takes her mother's hand. But we know better now. Excellence makes the injustice more visible when it happens anyway. And that visibility? That's where power lives. You're wiser than I was at 17. I had a better teacher than you did. They sit in comfortable silence, watching fireflies dance in suburban darkness. Tomorrow, Amara will post another story on @ShoppingWhileBlack. Tomorrow, Janelle will attend another retail reform meeting. Tomorrow, the work continues. But tonight, they rest in the knowledge that Derek Hayes's racism, intended to diminish, instead ignited something he never imagined: a mother's fury, a daughter's purpose, and an industry forced to confront the casual cruelty embedded in its operations. 6 months ago, Amara stood in Corridor B with metal around her wrists. Tonight, she stands with metal around her neck, graduation honor cords that represent excellence despite, not because of, systems designed to fail her. Derek Hayes destroyed one afternoon. Amara and Janelle spent 6 months building a legacy from those ruins. And they're just getting started. Howard University's campus feels like homecoming Amara never knew she needed. Historically black, historically resilient, historically dedicated to excellence as resistance. She walks through the yard surrounded by faces that look like hers, voices that speak her language, brilliance that doesn't require code switching to be recognized. First semester, she declares pre-law. Second semester, she partners with the ACLU on a national retail profiling project. We're documenting incidents across the country, the ACLU attorney explains. Building evidence for federal legislation. Your story gave us momentum. Now we need data. Amara's at Shopping While Black account becomes a research tool. She creates submission forms, date, location, description of incident, outcome. Within 3 months, 847 documented cases of retail racial profiling. Pattern evidence too substantial to ignore. She speaks at high schools about knowing your rights. Brings clipboards with information. You have the right to ask why you're being detained. You have the right to refuse searches without probable cause. You have the right to record interactions. You have the right to file complaints. Derek Hayes handcuffed me because I didn't know I could refuse, Amara tells an auditorium of teenagers in Atlanta. I knew my rights theoretically. But in the moment, with a badge in my face, I felt powerless. Don't let that happen to you. A young black girl raises her hand. What if they get violent? Then you prioritize safety. Record if you can. Get names. Document everything afterward. But survival comes first. Always. Amara's honesty matters more than false comfort. The system should protect you. Until it does, protect yourself. 3 families reach out after her talks. 3 incidents of profiling they'd been too scared or too tired to report. Amara connects them with attorneys, walks them through filing complaints, ensures their stories become part of the growing documentation demanding change. 2 cases result in settlements. 1 results in a security officer's termination. All 3 families say the same thing: we thought no one would believe us. You made us feel heard. Being heard becomes Amara's currency. She appears on panels about criminal justice reform. Writes op-eds for Teen Vogue and the Washington Post. Testifies before state legislatures considering retail bias legislation. In Maryland, a bill requiring bias training for all retail security personnel passes with her testimony as catalyst. In Illinois, legislation mandating anonymous reporting systems for profiling complaints moves through committee with bipartisan support. In California, body camera requirements for mall security become law. Amara's handcuffing in Corridor B ripples outward, jurisdiction by jurisdiction, policy by policy, transformation building momentum. Meanwhile, Janelle expands her influence beyond Westfield. National Retail Federation invites her to keynote their annual conference. She stands before 3,000 retail executives and delivers a message they don't want to hear but need to understand. Racial profiling is bad business. You're not just losing customers you mistreat. You're losing their families, their friends, everyone who sees your company as hostile. You're losing talent, diverse employees who won't work for organizations that harm people who look like them. You're losing reputation, market share, and eventually, profitability. This isn't about political correctness. It's about basic economics. Treat all customers with dignity or watch them shop elsewhere. The applause is cautious but present. Change comes from moral imperative and financial pressure. Janelle wields both. Westfield's model gets adopted by 30% of major U.S. malls within a year. Department stores implement similar policies. Retail advocacy groups create standardized training programs based on lessons learned from Derek Hayes' termination. One evening, Amara video calls her mother from her dorm room. Do you ever think about him? Derek? Janelle considers. Sometimes. Not with sympathy. With anthropological curiosity. What makes someone look at a teenager shopping and see a criminal? What failures of education, empathy, and awareness create that worldview? I got a message from his ex-wife, Amara says quietly. What? She found me on social media. Said she was sorry. Said she didn't realize how deep his racism ran until everything fell apart. Said she hopes I'm healing. How do you feel about that? I don't know. She didn't handcuff me. But she married him. Lived with him. Must have heard his comments about black people, his assumptions. And she stayed until the consequences hit her life. Amara pauses. I didn't respond. I don't owe her absolution. No, you don't. Derek's life, from what Janelle's professional network reports, remains a cautionary tale. He works warehouse overnight shifts. Lives alone. Avoids social media where his name still circulates as shorthand for racial profiling. His ex-wife remarried. His daughter barely speaks to him. Some people call it justice. Others call it excessive. Janelle calls it consequences. He had 6 years to change, she tells Amara. 6 years of complaints, concerns, evidence that his bias was harming people. He chose to continue. So I don't lose sleep over his unemployment. I lose sleep over the teenagers he traumatized before mine. The ones without viral videos. The ones whose pain never became policy. Amara nods. She spent a year talking to those teenagers, collecting their stories, validating their experiences, turning invisible harm into documented evidence. 73 people Derek detained. 73 stories of humiliation, fear, and presumed guilt. Only Amara's story went viral. Only Amara got justice. The others got acknowledgement, late, insufficient, but real. Westfield reached out to every documented victim of Derek's profiling. Offered apologies, settlements, and promises that their experiences drove reform. Some accepted. Some refused, too hurt by institutional failure to trust institutional apology. Amara doesn't judge either response. Healing isn't linear. Forgiveness isn't required. Second semester, she helps organize a campus event, Shopping While Black panel discussion. Brings together students who've experienced retail profiling, attorneys who represent them, and activists working to dismantle systemic bias. The auditorium fills beyond capacity. Students sit in aisles, stand along walls. This isn't theoretical for them. This is lived experience demanding recognition. One panelist, a senior named Jamal, describes being detained at a bookstore. I was buying books for my African American Studies class. Security thought I was stealing. They called police. I ended up handcuffed in a bookstore, arrested for shopping while black with an uppity attitude, their words, because I demanded to know why they were harassing me. Another panelist, sophomore named Keisha, talks about makeup store surveillance. I worked retail. I know anti-theft strategies. But they followed me like I was criminal, not customer. Made me feel like my presence was theft, like existing in that space required justification. Amara shares her story, familiar now, practiced, but never painless. The handcuffs came off. The humiliation didn't. That's what people don't understand. The physical restraint lasted minutes. The psychological restraint, the fear of shopping, the hyper-awareness of being watched, the trauma of presumed guilt, that lasts forever unless you actively fight it. After the event, 19 students approach with their own stories. 19 more incidents to document. 19 more pieces of evidence that Derek Hayes was an anomaly but example. Amara's first year at Howard ends with recognition, Campus Activism Award, Pre-Law Program Distinction, and something more meaningful, an invitation to the congressional hearing on retail discrimination. They want you to testify, the ACLU attorney says. Your story, your data, your voice. This could push federal legislation over the finish line. Amara looks at her mother via video call. Should I? Only if you want to. You don't owe anyone your trauma. But I owe those 73 people Derek profiled before me. I owe the students who shared their stories at my panel. I owe every black teenager who's too scared to shop without calculating risk. Janelle's smile is proud and heartbroken simultaneously. Then go testify. And I'll be there watching you change the world. Derek Hayes destroyed one afternoon to protect his assumptions. Amara Thompson spent a year protecting everyone else's children from the Derek Hayes of the world. That's not revenge. That's legacy. 1 year after Derek Hayes handcuffed Amara Thompson in Corridor B, mother and daughter walk through U.S. Capitol security together. Janelle in another Navy suit, her armor, her power. Amara in professional dress that honors her Howard University education and her Alabama roots simultaneously. They're testifying before Congress about the Retail Equality Act. Federal legislation requiring bias training, body cameras, and accountability mechanisms for retail security nationwide. Born from one viral video. Grown into national movement. The hearing room fills with senators, journalists, advocates, and families who've experienced retail racial profiling. Some traveled from California. Others from New York. All here because Amara's handcuffs became catalyst for their courage. Senator Martinez calls the hearing to order. Reads statistics that make Amara's individual trauma into collective evidence. 67% of black shoppers report experiencing heightened surveillance. 43% have been stopped or questioned without cause. 89% alter their behavior, dress more formally, keep hands visible, avoid certain stores, to minimize profiling risk. We're not here to debate if racial profiling exists, Senator Martinez says. We're here to legislate solutions. Janelle testifies first. Corporate executives speaking corporate language about financial incentives for change, market pressures, and business cases for dignity. Westfield Properties saw customer satisfaction increase 34% after implementing equity measures. Diverse hiring improved community relations and reduced incidents by 87%. This isn't charity, it's capitalism aligned with justice. Companies that refuse to adapt will lose market share to competitors who understand that all customers deserve respect. Then Amara. 19 years old. Howard freshman. Future civil rights attorney. Survivor of trauma transformed into advocate. She walks to the witness table. Microphone adjusted. Water glass placed within reach. Cameras focused. This moment will be archived in congressional record, her testimony preserved as official documentation of American racism and American resistance. My name is Amara Thompson. 1 year ago, I was handcuffed in a mall for shopping while black. She pauses, lets the simplicity of that statement land. Security officer Derek Hayes followed me through stores, decided I was suspicious based on my appearance, detained me without probable cause, and handcuffed me in public. I had receipts for my purchases. I had broken no laws. I had done nothing except exist as a black teenager in a space that presumed I didn't belong. I was lucky. My mother is regional director of the mall company. She had power to intervene, to demand accountability, to force change. But I shouldn't need powerful parents to be treated with dignity. No teenager should. Amara's voice strengthens, testimony becoming testimony, legal, powerful, undeniable. The Retail Equality Act ensures that what happened to me can't happen without consequence. Mandatory bias training means security officers must confront their assumptions. Body cameras mean accountability exists beyond viral videos. Anonymous reporting means victims don't need powerful parents to be heard. Zero-tolerance policies mean Derek Hayes can't profile 73 people over 6 years while management ignores complaints. She references the data collected through it shopping while black. References the legislative changes in Maryland, Illinois, California. References the families in the hearing room who traveled across the country to watch Congress consider their dignity worthy of federal protection. This legislation won't end racism. But it will make retail racism expensive, documented, and prosecutable. It will give victims recourse beyond hoping their humiliation goes viral. It will tell every Derek Hayes in America, your badge doesn't grant permission to presume guilt based on melanin. Standing ovation. From gallery, from advocates, from some senators. Amara sees her mother crying, again, always, forever proud of the daughter who transformed trauma into testimony. Senator Collins, Republican from Maine, asks the question Amara expected, aren't we overreaching? Making national policy based on individual incidents? Amara doesn't hesitate. Senator, we have 847 documented incidents from my research alone. National Retail Federation data shows millions of black shoppers experience profiling annually. This isn't individual incidents. This is systemic pattern demanding systemic solution. But won't this burden small businesses with excessive regulation? The regulation is, treat all customers with dignity. Train your security. Document complaints. Fire people who racially profile. If that's excessive burden, your business model is discrimination. Senator Collins has no response. Amara's testimony is too precise, too researched, too irrefutable. The bill passes committee unanimously. Moves to full Senate. Passes with bipartisan support, rare in polarized America, but retail profiling affects red districts and blue districts, conservative shoppers and liberal shoppers. Racism is nonpartisan problem requiring nonpartisan solution. House of Representatives passes companion legislation. President signs the Retail Equality Act 6 months after Amara's testimony. Ceremony at the White House. Amara and Janelle invited, seated in front row as President acknowledges their role. This legislation exists because a teenager refused to be silent about injustice, the President says. Because a mother used corporate power for justice instead of privilege. Because Derek Hayes' racism met its match in Amara Thompson's courage. The signing ceremony goes viral, different kind of viral than the original video. This time, Amara smiles. This time, the handcuffs are metaphorical, restraints on racist behavior instead of innocent wrists. Back in Atlanta, Westfield Shopping Center installs a plaque in Corridor B, in memory of injustice that sparked justice. May this space forever remind us that dignity is non-negotiable. Amara and Janelle attend the unveiling. Stand in the exact spot where handcuffs clicked 1 year ago. Where phones recorded. Where humiliation became catalyst. How do you feel? Janelle asks. Like this place doesn't own me anymore. I own my story now. And I used it to protect everyone else's daughters. They walk through the mall together. Security officers nod respectfully, not with fear, but with understanding that their job is protection, not profiling. Shoppers recognize Amara, some asking for photos, others simply nodding acknowledgement. The young black girl who works at the boutique whispers thank you as they pass. Derek Hayes watches the bills signing on his phone from his warehouse break room. Alone. Unemployed in security forever. His name now synonymous with racism caught on camera. His ex-wife remarried. His daughter at college, using her mother's last name. He writes another letter to Amara. Never sends it. What could he say? Sorry I destroyed your innocence and ignited a national movement? Sorry I embodied systemic racism so perfectly you built a career dismantling it? The apology stays in his drawer, undelivered. Some closure is an ode. Some consequences aren't excessive, they're earned. Amara doesn't need Derek's apology. She has something better, the Retail Equality Act. Body cameras in 78% of American malls. Bias training mandated. Zero-tolerance policies enforced. 347 security officers terminated for profiling in the first year alone. And beyond legislation, cultural shift. Hashtag shopping while black becomes permanent conversation. Teenagers know their rights. Parents teach their children to document profiling. Retail companies understand that diversity training isn't checkbox exercise but business survival. Amara's sophomore year at Howard, Dean's List, pre-law excellence, activism that earns her internship at ACLU. She's building resume for civil rights attorney career, using Derek Hayes' racism as foundation for lifetime protecting others from Derek Hayes' of the world. Janelle's career expands to Chief Diversity Officer for National Retail Association. She travels the country implementing Westfield's model, training security directors, consulting with companies terrified of becoming next viral story. Her daughter's handcuffing gave her purpose that corporate ladder climbing never could. On Janelle's 51st birthday, Amara gives her a gift, the journal she was shopping for that day, found finally at small black-owned bookstore. Inside, an inscription. For the woman who taught me excellence, then taught me that justice matters more. Thank you for using your power to protect me. Thank you for teaching me to use my voice to protect everyone else. Love you forever. Amara. Janelle cries reading it. Holds her daughter. Whispers, I'm so sorry you had to learn that excellence doesn't protect us. But I'm so proud you turned that lesson into law. They return to Westfield one final time before Amara heads back to Howard. Walk through Corridor B, stand where handcuffs clicked. Where phones recorded. Where Derek Hayes thought he was catching a criminal but actually caught himself, on camera, in assumptions, in racism that would cost him everything and cost Amara one afternoon of innocence. Sometimes the worst moments become the most important, Amara says. You took something designed to shame you and turned it into power, Janelle responds. We did, Mom. Together. They exit through the same automatic doors where Derek first profiled Amara. But now those doors represent transformation. Not trauma space, but legacy space. Where mother's love met corporate power. Where daughter's dignity demanded federal legislation. where retail racial profiling met its reckoning. Janelle Thompson used her authority to protect her daughter. Amara Thompson used her experience to protect everyone else's daughters. Derek Hayes learned that assumptions destroy lives, including his own. And millions of black teenagers learn that their dignity is non-negotiable, their voices are powerful, and their handcuffing can become someone else's freedom. Some stories end in shame. This one ends with Senate bill, Supreme Court precedent waiting to be set, and mother-daughter team that changed how America shops. The only losers are the Derek Hayes of the world, and they earned every consequence. That's not revenge. That's justice. That's legacy. That's a teenager who refused to let one man's racism define her future, choosing instead to let it fuel the fight for everyone's equality. The handcuffs came off. The movement they sparked never will. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to enjoy more stories like this.